What's up, everyone? Welcome to another week of What You're Missing. This is going to be a brief week because I didn't find a lot of news items that jumped out at me or that I found particularly worth my time to read and therefore share. So for that I apologize, because you will probably be deprived of 5, maybe 7 minutes of me that you normally wouldn't have been deprived of. I don't know. I ramble, but I'll jump right into it. I put a couple things on here that I wasn't going to talk about in the first place, but once I realized that I had like something about potato salad and that's it, really. I thought maybe I should add these other couple things. So I'll start on the potato salad. I know it's not video game related, but I mentioned it a while back about a Kickstarter where somebody wanted to Kickstarter for $10 to make potato salad, and it ended up getting like $55,000 and a lot of backers. And so I saw an article about what actually happened after all of that went down, and I thought I would share it with you. So initially, of course, obviously this was intended as a joke, but once they got all this money, this individual thought it would be nice to do something for charity. And so they threw they threw an event, and they called it PotatoStock. And they brought, obviously, a lot of potato salad. The backers were able to receive their potato salad for free. Non-backers were urged to contribute donations. And they had a live band, they had potato sack races, they had a carousel and t-shirts and all kinds of things. And so this happened on September 27th in Columbus, Ohio, and I just think that that's kind of a neat story, because not only did Kickstarter work and the backers got what they put their money out for, but some charity got money and people came out and had a good time, and I don't know, everybody's happy. But at the bottom of that, because I was on Polygon, somebody was complaining that Polygon was covering something that was not video game related, and in response, one jackass said that he too was looking for a video game site that just handled video games, and then he followed up with, "I'd love to find a video game review site that isn't full of sexism or misogyny drama, though." So to that guy, I have choice words, but I'm going to keep them to myself. At some point in my upbringing, I was told not to say anything if I don't have anything nice to say. I have pretty categorically refused to do that through most of my life, but here I'm going to do that because this is the internet, and yeah, so this guy definitely could have his eyes opened, and I'll leave it at that. So moving on. Because of all of the hullabaloo that was going on about Destiny and the loot problems that they've been having, there was this loot cave that people had found where you could stand 50 yards away, give or take, and shoot at enemies that would come pouring out of this cave every 6 seconds. And in doing so, it would create loot that would drop because you were killing lots of guys, and so everybody called it the loot cave, and there would day and night be a group of people sitting outside this cave just shooting things that came out of it because they wanted loot. So obviously that's not a game working as it's intended. But a lot of people got into it, and now there are new loot caves, now that Bungie has patched the one that everybody knew about, and it's kind of, like I said last week, I think it's indicative of a larger problem that Bungie is facing with this game. But that aside, because of all of this interest in finding loot caves and wanting people who are spending hours on end shooting into a cave, somebody has created an interactive cave shooting simulator, which is just what it sounds like. It's a very crude version of what you do in Destiny. So they're like, hey, if you really like shooting into caves, here's a cave, and here's a really blocky gun, and if you shoot into this cave, periodically something green will pop up into the air, periodically something blue or purple or whatever. So yeah, the internet is not without a sense of humor, it would seem. Secondly, during an interview, and you might have heard about this if you listen to the Beyond podcast, but during an interview or during I think it was at Comic-Con, somebody asked the creators of EA's Battlefield Hardline game whether their game was actually going to work when it was launched. which really says something about the state of their games that they've been launching over the last, I don't even know how many years, because I know that Battlefield 4 is out right now. They're about to come out with Battlefield Hardline, which I guess would be 5. I played 3, and I barely was able to get it to run on my game, and not very successfully so. Definitely wasn't able to play multiplayer because that portion of it crashed all the time. Battlefield 4, I hear, was terrible, especially at launch and for a few months after that. And then they fixed some of the bugs, and some people were able to play. So Electronic Arts really needs to. It sounds like they really need to do a lot of work to improve their reputation in and among gamers. But this may not be news to people who already know about EA. Uh, they're also the ones who created the SimCity game that didn't work for a few days, and I think they were voted the worst company in America 2 years in a row or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, so EA apparently needs to work on Battlefield, and people were calling them out in public, and that's kind of funny. So on the list of things that I wasn't going to talk about, but because I didn't have a lot going on for this, I figured I would just mention. I've been really interested in this game called Shadow of Mordor, and the story looks great, the gameplay and all of the mechanics within the game look fantastic, and it's got a lot of new things in it that are sort of innovations to the genre, if you will. And so I've been really looking forward to it. My friend Alex has been playing it, and Raptor is rubbing it in my face every day that he is playing it. But I read an article on it about, it was an op-ed piece, but this guy was talking about how in the tutorial, the way they introduce you to the stealth and the stealth combat mechanic is they have you sneak up on your wife and kiss her. And in doing so, you do the exact same thing that you will do for the rest of the game, to sneak up on and murder people. And this guy waxed poetically, or I guess not so poetically, but he went on at great length about how you interact with the game and how that influences your emotional engagement with the game and response, and how combining these two actions into the same control scheme really broke his immersion in the game, and what caught my eye as I was reading this was that he just made a passing comment about how there's also something unseemly, and I'm not using his words, I forget how he said it, but that there's something unseemly about likening sneaking up on and kissing and sneaking up on and murdering, and something about the way you view, I don't know, the way it, I don't know, it was just unsettling, and the way he talked about it kind of likened murder to women, and the way that I don't know if you've seen Sarkeesian's videos, you know what I'm talking about, that this using kissing a woman as a preparation for murdering people. And I know that all right, let's talk about this. So I was only just going to mention it and say that this guy sort of only said something in passing about it, and then that maybe it should be looked at more in depth. But let's talk a little bit about it. So sometimes people will talk about aspects of games that they think need to be discussed, and good for them. I think that without an examination of art forms or media or whatever it is that we spend our time with, that we can, to use a phrase that I kind of enjoy, we can find ourselves in a sticky wicket where we're in a genre, where we're in a certain form of media that does treat women like objects, or that does fantasize murder, or any of these other things that are perhaps not the best, I don't know, not the best forms of expression, or not the best lessons to learn. But sometimes I think that's great, and it definitely needs to be talked about. And sometimes I feel like people are just nitpicking and going on and on and on about something that is not worth that much time and energy. Even if there is I guess sometimes there's a larger point, but if you make that larger point, you don't need to spend 5 pages talking about you know, trigger buttons and I don't know. Anyway, so I kind of got the feeling with this article that that's what was going on, that at least from where I was sitting, the real message was that it was a little unsettling to have these two things so like married together like that, and that during the tutorial that while yes it is a unique and possibly cheeky way to try to double up, teach you something and get you engaged emotionally with, you know, the NPC that is your woman or your wife, and okay, great. But if you know, I don't know, some people go too far and it's just pedantic, I think is the word. I might be using that wrong, and if I am, I apologize. I like words, and sometimes the word comes to mind and it's close but no cigar. So if that's not even close, I apologize. At any rate, that's all I have for today. Tomorrow, tune in to talk more a little bit about Destiny, and I think I'm going to be, I mentioned Mass Effect 3. I'm going to try this coming week to wean myself from Destiny, and maybe all of you can help me with that by talking to me and providing human contact, because there's been a dearth of that in my life, and I definitely need more. So there you have it. And that's all I got. So thanks for tuning in. Hit subscribe if you enjoy listening to me or you want me to do more. Hit like, talk to me, tell your friends about it, and spread the word, because that's how this goes. All right? So thanks a lot, and I will see you tomorrow.